Hey, what's up? Welcome to another edition of Free Advice Friday. Looking forward to spending the next hour or so with you guys, hanging out, answering all of your voiceover business and marketing questions, whatever it is that you want to talk about, whatever it is that you need a little bit of extra help with, whatever those pressing issues are, the questions that are stressing you out, the subject matter that you just can't quite figure out. That's what we're here for Free Advice Friday. I wanted to start out by talking about the fact that the holidays are coming. And maybe you're not ready to talk about the fact that the holidays are coming yet. I know different people have different feelings on that. I have observed in the past, I was in a Hobby Lobby in June with my mom, and Hobby Lobby had all of their Christmas stuff. Well, not all. They were in the process of getting out all of their Christmas stuff. Probably half of their Christmas stuff was already out in June. And we went to a Walmart here earlier in the week to try to find some Halloween costumes. And there's still an aisle of Halloween costumes, but the vast majority of the seasonal section has been converted to Christmas stuff at this point in Walmart. A lot of that stuff already came out in September. And so whether you want to accept it or not, the reality is that the holiday season is on the way. One of the reasons why voice actors struggle with their marketing, and particularly with social media, is content. What am I supposed to post? What do I talk about? What can I share? What subject matter? What's interesting? And this is one of the reasons why we don't do it, because we're not sure what to share. We struggle with, coming up with ideas. And so with the holidays approaching, this gives you, I think, a really good opportunity to start planning out some of your content in advance and start thinking about some of the things that you might want to be talking about. Obviously, Halloween is a couple of weeks away. If you're somebody that is in characters, gaming, animation, things of that nature, there's all kinds of opportunities to create some really fun content around a Halloween theme and leaning into your character ability, your gaming, your voices and the sounds that you make and all of those types of things. And so you can combine the two things, the gaming, the characters, the voice, with the holiday, Halloween, put those two things together. And for the next couple of weeks, you could have some really fun content, or a really fun time creating some really fun content that showcases your ability. Once we get into November, I really think it's kind of a free-for-all for the Christmas season. And so there's plenty of opportunity to think about holiday-related theme content, and it's something that you could brainstorm out around. And so if coming up with content has been an issue for you, what do I share? What should I talk about? What are the things that I could post? Starting to lean into some of that. It's not too soon to start thinking about that and to be able to start mapping some of that stuff out right now, even if it does feel a little bit early. And on that note, I want to mention that I'm going to be teaching my live workshop, Cash In on the Holidays. I did this one last year, taught it live, and it was very well received. And it was really fun to watch what people did with what they learned after this live workshop and seeing the holiday related content that people were coming up with. And so in this 1 hour live workshop, I will be sharing about a dozen different strategies, a dozen different marketing campaigns that you can create around holiday related content. And these are all low cost, no cost ideas that you can do. And so if it's something that you're struggling with, think about checking out that workshop. You can head over to VOpreneur.com. It's right there on the homepage. I'm doing it twice. There's going to be a live workshop on November 5th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And there is also going to be a live workshop on November 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern. So you can sign up for either one of those. This is a low cost, high value training. I want to give you something that you can really lean into, but I want to make it very accessible. I know around the holidays, there's enough things to spend money on, gifts and turkeys and all of that sort of stuff. So $47 for this 1 hour live training session where you're going to get tons of practical ideas for ways that you can run marketing strategies over the holiday season. So think about that, because it is a subject that you can lean into, and it is a subject you can create a lot of fun content around, and it is a subject that gives you the ability to showcase what you do as a voice actor while you are doing it as well. So if you're interested in that show, or that workshop rather, again, that's going to be November 5th at 7 p.m. Eastern. and November 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern. So choose whichever one you'd like to attend to, whether it's the day one, the evening one. $47 all in, 1 hour workshop. Teaching it live. I'll stick around for a Q&A session as well. So the details to sign up for that one, again, are available if you head over to VOpreneur.com. It's right there on the homepage on VOpreneur.com. Or you can also just click through to the store button and you'll be able to sign up for it, get access to it there as well. But I would love to have the opportunity to work with you on that event. It's a class that I really do enjoy teaching and looking forward to delivering it again this year. So, you guys are here to ask questions and get your questions answered, though. I know that's really what you want. And so let's talk about that. What is it that you need help with on Free Advice Friday? What are your voiceover business and marketing questions that you would like to be able to ask and get answered? If you do have a question that you would like me to address, I am happy to try to answer as many questions as I can over the next hour or so. All you have to do is type it in the comments. It's really that easy. When you type it in the comments, if you could just do me one quick favor, put a Q beside it. It just makes it a little bit easier for me to see, makes it easier to find it on my screen. But let's go. Let's answer some questions for Free Advice Friday. So first up, I Use Nimble. Recently, I received a notification that read, the thread watcher moved an inquiry to the overdue status when a response wasn't received. Where's that thread? Okay. There's a new feature in Nimble that they are testing that has threads, but I haven't had a chance to play around with it yet. So I don't know if that's something that's related specifically to that. The thread watcher moved an inquiry to the overdue status. Where did that specifically happen? Was it in workflows? Was that in your deals pipeline? Was that in a sequence? Maybe if you could give me a little bit more on that, I might try to answer that a little bit better. But I haven't actually had a chance to play around with the new specific threads feature yet. And says, hey, Mark, love these ideas. I love the holidays starting with Halloween. I'm ready to go. I mean, I'm always ready to go. You know me. I started working on the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas a couple of weeks ago. Actually, I couldn't sleep last night because I was thinking about how am I going to up the live stream this year. For those of you that have maybe never participated in the live stream or had the opportunity to watch that live stream, every year, I try to make a production that makes it a little bit more fun, adding some different features into it and getting some people to contribute. Santa Claus has appeared on my live stream for the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas. Joe Cipriano's been there. The VOpreneur choir bringing in. So, we're always trying to come up with some fun ideas. And so last night I was laying in bed, literally couldn't sleep. And I was like, what am I going to do for the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas this year? And so man, I'm ready to go. I'm ready for the holidays. After the holiday content is done, where does it need to be used? Well, I mean, that depends entirely on what your plan is. If you're creating video content, for example, if you're going to create some holiday-related video content, you're going to use it on the appropriate social media platforms. It could be going on to Instagram to Reels. It could be going on to TikTok. It could be going on to YouTube for Shorts. If you're creating more long-form text content, that could be something that might be appropriate for LinkedIn. If it's more graphic or image-based content, that could possibly be an Instagram post, something that you could share on Facebook. If it's, little short bits, that could be something that could be shared on X. If you're a writer, it could be something that gets turned into a blog post or a series of blog posts that you might be able to put up on your website. If you're doing something audio related, that could turn into some kind of a podcast or some sort of audio series or audio drama. There's a lot of different ways that you can use it. I think it just depends on what the content is that you want to create and also the platforms that you're comfortable being a part of and sharing content on. Okay, it just showed up under notifications. Okay, I am not 100% sure about what that one is then. So, Aisha, what you may want to do is you may want to try to send an email to Nimble, to their support, and maybe ask them about that, because that is one that I am not familiar with at this point. So let me just do this. This is the, bring this down here so you can see it. Care@nimble.com is the support. You can send an email to them. And maybe they can address that for you and ask or find out what specifically that's going on to. It sounds like it might have something to do with this new feature that they're testing, and maybe that's just a little glitch in the matrix while they're in the process of testing this threads feature. Okay, again, what can I ask? I mean, what can you ask? What can I answer? This is your opportunity to get your voiceover business and marketing questions answered. So if there is anything in particular that you want to ask, if there's a pressing issue that you have been just waiting for the opportunity to have answered, this is your opportunity to get it answered, and I'm happy to do it. Again, just type your question into the chat, put a little cue beside it so that I can see it easily. It pops up easily on my screen, and certainly happy to answer as many questions as I possibly can over the next little while here. If you haven't had a chance yet, guys, I really want to encourage you to check out the most recent episode of the podcast. There was not an episode yesterday. I apologize. I had a few different people that canceled, and it kind of threw off my whole entire schedule. I was trying to get an episode done, but it just didn't happen. But my most recent episode is the one that came out last week. Is this a glimpse into the future of voiceover? Erin Culpepper has a really cool story to tell. That little teddy bear that she's holding, that is Poe the AI story bear, which you may already be familiar with. It was recently featured on the Today Show. It's going to be one of the hot toys of the holiday season, which is something I told Erin, a couple months ago when she first started telling me about it. I was like, that's going to be like the hottest toy of the holiday season. And she's like, that's not going to happen. Well, it looks like it's happening. So Erin is the voice of Poe, the AI storytelling bear, and it's a really great story. She shares a really great story of the collaboration potential that can exist between human and AI voice. And this is a totally legit job. It came through Celia Siegel Management, obviously a very legit, reputable management company. The contract was reviewed by Rob Sigampaglia. Many of you will know Rob or be familiar with his name. Very respected lawyer, voice actor, and he made sure that all the I's were dotted, all the T's were crossed, etc. And so this is a totally legit job, and I think it's a really great story of what at least a portion, maybe, of the voiceover industry might look like in the future. So that is episode 276 of the podcast. Of course, it's available wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. You can watch it on the YouTube channel, download it through Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you enjoy podcasts. Head over to VOpreneur.com, listen to it at VOpreneur.com as well. But if you haven't given that episode a listen yet, I strongly encourage you to, because I think it's a really, really great story and a really great example of how we can work with AI. Are there things about AI that we should be cautious of? 100%. Are there legitimate concerns with AI and voiceover? 100%. Does every voiceover project that involves AI immediately become an evil thing? No, it doesn't. And this is a really great example of that. So it's a really good story and some really good information, some really good tips shared as well for, the different things that she was thinking about, the different considerations when it came to deciding whether or not to take the job, what kind of protections needed to be in place, all that sort of stuff. So really good episode worth checking out. All right, let's see. Briscoe's here. Uncle Roy is here. He is driving. 2 hands on the steering wheel. Welcome in. Rolls here. What else can I answer for you? Here we go. If I'm not taking up too much time, if I use those social media thing, how do I know the pieces aren't just going to go out to a general audience rather than a targeted one? Is there already a tutorial? Yeah, when you're doing the social media, it is going to go out to everyone. And that's not a bad thing, to be clear. So if you're creating some of that content, it's going to go out to whoever follows you on those social media platforms. But with each one of the social media platforms, using algorithms, they will look at content and they will try to also push that content out to who they believe would be the appropriate audience for it. So if I go onto LinkedIn and I write a post that is all about e-learning and instructional design and the narration work that I do for e-learning and instructional design, the first people that are going to see that post are going to be the people who follow me on LinkedIn. But then LinkedIn is also going to say, okay, this looks like content for instructional designers and e-learning developers. So let's push this content out to some instructional designers and e-learning developers who may or may not be in my network. And they're going to see, okay, does anybody engage with it? If they engage with it, let's keep pushing it out to more of them. And so that's one of the reasons why, even if you have a small following on social media, there's still value in it, because if you catch the algorithm the right way and it pushes the content to the right people and the right people respond to your content, there's an opportunity to get in front of a lot of people. And so that's one of the ways that you kind of have to understand how the algorithms work a little bit. But that is kind of the gist of how the algorithms work. Richard says, I'm busy setting up sequences in Nimble with up to 8 follow-up emails. What's the ideal gap between such follow-ups? I think it depends a lot on who you're reaching out to. So for my new lead follow-up sequence right now, I've got one that I'm testing every 5 days. Traditionally, I've done 7. So this time around, I'm testing every 5 days, skipping weekends. But then I have a couple of prospect sequences, which are, people who have expressed an interest in working with me, but haven't actually hired me yet. Those prospect sequences, I've got one that I'm running on a 30-day spread and one that I'm running on a 21-day spread. Now, the main reason why I'm running the 21-day spread is because I'm impatient and I want to see. I really want to know what's going to happen, and I just didn't want to wait any longer. Just being honest, I'm impatient. And so that was what was up with that 21-day spread. It was just trying to push it through just a little bit quicker. But other than that, yeah, I'm on a 21 or a 30-day, I think for prospects. I think a 30-day follow-up cycle for prospects is fairly reasonable. And so that would be kind of where I would be at. So again, like I said, it just depends who are you reaching out to, and what is the context of that relationship. And then that makes a little bit of a difference, how quickly you might be following up with them. Mike says, do you market differently in Europe as opposed to the US? For the most part, I don't. I take into consideration time changes, obviously. So I try not to send emails so that they, drop in their inbox at 2:00 in the morning or something like that. But for the most part, my marketing kind of stays the same. Yeah, I understand that there can be cultural nuances, but I'm also a North American-based talent reaching out to companies who may or may not be looking to hire North American talent. And so I think that there's an expectation of what you're going to get with a North American talent. But for the most part, I don't. Where my expectations change a little bit and my approach changes a little bit, mostly is with rates. Recognizing that the rates that I get for the projects that I'm doing in the United States are based on rates in the United States, but that may not be the same as rates in Italy or Spain or the UK or Portugal or Dubai or Australia. And so that's where I try that's where I look for a little bit more nuance and trying to understand the different places that I'm reaching out to and the different rate structures of some of those different places, because not all economies are created equal. Obviously, if you're reaching out to European nations, you have to be aware of GDPR. You got to make sure that you're respecting unsubscribe requests and information that you're collecting and all of that sort of stuff, although most of us aren't really doing a lot of that anyway. Generally, that's done through the third party or whatever. But so there are some things like that you need to take into consideration. But for the most part, my marketing is kind of the same. Hey, Marc. Calling versus email, frowned upon or no? I love cold calling. Not sure if it's easier for them to forget about a 30-second convo than seeing an email in their inbox. Okay. I hate cold calling. If you told me that going forward, the only way that I could grow my voiceover business was to cold call, I would probably retire as a voice actor. But that is a personal preference. I could point you to other voice actors who have built their entire business doing cold calling because they love it and they're good at it and they've made it work for them. I think any form of marketing can work if you are doing it in the right way. One of the things that I love about cold calls is that it's basically a live audition. Think about it. When you're sending an email, they get to read your email, but they have to click the link in order to hear your demos. So there's an extra step that has to be taken, and they may choose to do it or they may not choose to do it. If they're cold calling, they get to hear you right there on the phone. They already know exactly what you sound like. And if you've got a great voice or a unique voice, they're going to notice that right away. And so there's certainly something to be said for that. The few people that I know that I have had in-depth conversations with on cold calling are getting incredible conversion rates that I am not getting on email. And so there's something to be said for that as well. And so if it is something that you enjoy and something that you are comfortable with, why wouldn't you do it? Why not? And it could be that you split it. Okay, I'm going to contact 50 leads a week. I'm going to do 25 of them via cold call, and I'm going to do 25 of them via email. And I'm going to do it for a month or 2 months, and then I'm going to compare the results. And you're going to look at the results and let them speak. And if you're getting a 15% conversion on your email, but you're getting a 25% conversion on your cold calls, the results spoke. Do more cold calls. So yeah, I'm not going to say that one is better than the other because I don't think that's the case. I really think that it's just a matter of doing what you're good at or what you enjoy doing or what you are comfortable with so that it's what you will do, right? I could tell you right now, I could say, okay, look, everybody that's watching Free Advice Friday right now, going forward, the only way to successfully market your voiceover business is to create short form video content for TikTok. Some of you are going to be like, screw that. I'm not doing that. Good thing that that's not actually true. For somebody, it's TikTok. For somebody else, it's LinkedIn. For somebody else, it's email. For somebody else, it's in-person networking. For somebody else, it's cold calling. You do the thing that works for you. Honestly, do the thing that works for you. Whatever the thing is that you will do. Blogs, yay or nay? Compared to LinkedIn and other social media, does it provide any additional value to your business to have a blog? Yes, if you are doing it well and doing it consistently. Absolutely, there is value to having a blog. The biggest value that is going to come from having the blog is going to be the SEO value. I would say that the catch to that is that you have to be committed to blogging consistently. If you're going to blog, you need to pick a schedule. And maybe that schedule is going to be once a month. And that's fine if you consistently post once a month. Or maybe you're going to say, I'm going to do every other week. Great. Consistently do every other week. You will get value when you are consistently sticking to your schedule, whatever your schedule is. On the flip side, if you say you're going to blog once a month, and for the first 3 months, you're really good, and you blog once a month for the first 3 months, but then you miss a month, and then you post, and then you miss 2 months, and then you post again for a couple of months, but then you skip another month, then it's not going to be as effective because you can't build an audience that way if you're not showing up consistently. So when I was doing my blog, originally I was posting 5 days a week, which was just stupid. But it worked for me. And I did it consistently 5 days a week for years. And then I got to a point where that was no longer manageable. And so then I went to every other day. And I did every other day. And I did it that way for a couple of years. And then I got to a point where that was no longer manageable. And then I flipped to a weekly podcast. And then once I got in the groove of the weekly podcast, then I was like, okay, I can add something back, but I don't want to go back to a blog. So then I started adding in the live stream and doing the live stream. And so, but the blog, when I was doing it consistently, it absolutely worked for me. And I think there's absolutely SEO value in there. The other thing that I would say outside of the consistency is who are your audience? And what are you going to write about that is going to add value to your audience? If you're going to write just another voiceover blog, then there's probably limited value in that, because if your goal is to have it generate voiceover work for you, so your target audience is producers, instructional designers, filmmakers, creative directors, whatever, but you're just writing another voiceover blog, they don't care. They're not going to read it. So identifying your audience and making sure that whatever you're going to write about, the subject matter that you're going to write about, adds value to your audience, I think that's a really important step in all of this as well. All right, let's see. Regarding follow-up sequences, when the sequence ends, what do you do with those that didn't reply at all? New sequence with new templates. That is one of the questions that I'm debating right now. So I think there's a couple of different perspectives that you can look at this from. If a lead goes through a 5-email sequence but didn't respond to a single one of those emails, does that mean that the email sequence was a fail? Well, that depends. If you're judging success based on response, then you could potentially make an argument that it was a fail. On the other hand, if a new lead went through a 5-email sequence all the way to the end and never unsubscribed, then to me, that says they're still interested. So I don't know that I immediately want to give up on them. I might give them a break. And in fact, in the one sequence that I have, I do just that. I actually, in the final email of the sequence, it actually says, I'm not going to, I've sent you a few emails now, I'll give you a little bit of a break, but please keep me in mind or whatever. So I'm going to give them a break. So maybe 3 months from now, do I flip them into another sequence? I might at that point. Again, if you guys have a question for Free Advice Friday, please don't be shy. Type it into the comments, put a Q beside it. I'm happy to answer as many questions as I can. Marc, what type of automation are you using for your email to keep that inbox clean and organized? My inbox is a complete freaking dumpster fire. I actually posted something on Twitter about this a couple of weeks ago. I said I had like 5,997 emails in my inbox. And what I really wanted to do was just delete them all and start over again, because it just feels so completely overwhelming. I am one of the guys that is very, very excited about Apple Intelligence when it finally comes, because I really want to see what that is going to do to my email inbox. I'm actually very much looking forward to Apple Intelligence helping me, I hope, to organize my email inbox, because my email inbox is a dumpster fire. I get so many messages. And so for those of you, by the way, if you're like, I wrote an email to Marc and he hasn't replied yet, I sincerely apologize. Sometimes I get 100 emails a day and it's really hard to keep up with everything. So at this point, I don't have a lot of automations. There are certain emails that I get on a regular basis, like certain newsletters and things like that, that I do want to get, and I will filter those into different places so that they all kind of land in the same spot. So I do have a couple of filters set up in Gmail that move things around to different places so that it doesn't all just land in my inbox. But by and large, I still don't have a really great system for dealing with email. Every time I think that I'm getting on top of it, then all of a sudden I look and realize, oh, nope, you still suck at email. You still have 1 billion of them. Poor guy. Go sit for an hour and answer some emails. You can see what I'm thinking about lately. Do you do sequences for clients you work with often to stay top of mind? I prefer more personal ways of staying in touch, but that's time consuming. So right now, because sequences in Nimble is relatively new, and just to be clear, for those of you that aren't familiar what we're talking about with sequences, sequences is a feature that is built into Nimble, and it allows you to set up automatic email cycles, basically. And so you can write a series of emails, and then you can set a set of instructions for when those emails are going to be delivered. So you could write a sequence that says, that's got 5 emails, and a new email is going to go out every other day, or a new email is going to go out every 5 days, or a new email is going to go out every 7 days, or whatever it is. And maybe you got 5 emails in that sequence. That's what email sequencing is. So it's giving you the ability to automate. So, for those of you that are not familiar with Nimble, if you haven't played around with it yet, visit the link that's on the screen right now, nimble.com/. You know what? That's not even the right link. Gosh darn it. Hang on a second. Let me edit that. There we go. Okay. Now visit that link. There we go. That's the right one. nimble.com/MarcScottVO. You can sign up for a 30-day trial of Nimble. That is the CRM system that I'm using. Sequences is a feature that is built into that CRM. So sequences is a relatively new feature. Right now, I'm still playing around with it. I'm still testing it. I have 3 sequences that are currently running in a test. One is a sequence for new leads, specifically e-learning leads. One is a sequence for e-learning prospects, and one is a sequence for my corporate prospects. So those are the only 3 that I'm playing with right now. The reason for that is I'm still trying to figure it out. I want to make sure that I don't do anything wrong. I don't want to make any big mistakes. I want to make sure that I fully understand how all of the functionality of sequences works. And once I feel comfortable with it, then I will expand it further. Now, to answer your specific question, would I use it for clients? At this point, I don't think I would use it for clients. And to the reason that you mentioned, I want those emails to be a little bit more personal because I have a relationship with those people. So those emails are easier for me to write. Time consuming, sure, but they're easier for me to write. But do I feel like I can automate sequences to prospects? Yes, if they are targeted. And so that's why my e-learning prospects are getting an email sequence that is very much geared towards e-learning. My corporate video prospects are in a totally separate sequence, and all of the content of that sequence is very much geared towards corporate video. So I'm trying to be very intentional about that, making sure that I'm still being targeted with these things. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out yet, sequences it's going to be huge for me because I have thousands, like literally thousands of people in my database, and it's almost impossible for me now to keep up with everyone. And so to even be able to put a few hundred people in an email sequence at this point, which would keep it automated, that's a game changer for me. So check it out, nimble.com/MarcScottVO. Sign up for a 30-day trial, play around with it. I think you'll love it. And hopefully that answers your question, Samantha. And if not, feel free to ask another question. Will this, creating sequences, possibly be something you will add to the next update of VO Marketing Playbook or as a separate workshop? So I do teach a class on Nimble because email sequencing, as in the context that we are talking about it right now, email sequencing is directly related to Nimble. It is a feature that is built in Nimble. So if you go to VOpreneur.com, click on the store button up here, VOpreneur.com, click on store, and then scroll down to how I use Nimble. That is the class that I teach, exactly how I am currently using Nimble. Now, at this moment, there is not a sequence video in the course because I'm still learning how to use it. But once I am comfortable with Nimble sequences, I will add a sequence video to my Nimble class. And anybody who has previously purchased my Nimble class will get access to that updated content as well. This is really good advice. Don't forget to like today's Q&A. Thank you. Hit that like button. If I've answered your question, or if you're enjoying the live stream, or if there's been information that's been shared that's been helpful to you, I certainly would appreciate it if you would hit that like button. You gave me an idea for something to make downloadable on my website for potential clients. If it's a text document to fill out on their end, would you make it a Word doc, a PDF, or something else? I kind of like the idea. It depends on how much you got to fill out. So I like the idea of a PDF only in that you can assign boxes, and PDFs can be a little bit easier to fill out. If you've ever downloaded a text document in Microsoft Word and you start to try to type in the answer and it just pushes the line over, you know what I'm talking about? Like it reformats the whole thing, and that can be a pain in the butt. So if it's something that you want them to fill out like that, I think maybe it would work a little bit better as a PDF because it's so easy to fill out documents. I actually just filled out a PDF document before this live stream started. All right, let's see, what else? Where would you post your blog other than your website? So obviously I would share the blog on my website so that it exists on my website. That way the SEO value comes back to your website and your domain. I would promote the blog through my social media. That's something that I could share on LinkedIn, or it's something that I could share on X. You could make a little video. You could make a 30-second reel that talks about what your latest blog post is or what it's about. You could share that on Instagram. If you share it in your Instagram stories, you can actually link to the blog, which is kind of nice. So I think there's a couple of different options for how you would promote your blog. If it's a blog that's targeted specifically to your voice buyers, it's something that you could potentially include in marketing emails as well. So let's say that you wrote a blog about 5 ways a professional voice actor will make your next e-learning course better. Let's say that's the blog that you wrote. Then that's something that you could absolutely send to your e-learning prospects and potentially to your e-learning clients as well. Hey, if you're looking for some really helpful tips on ways that a voice actor can add value to your next e-learning course, here's a blog that I wrote that I think might be helpful for you. You send them a link. How did you find the time to make the marketing playbook so awesome? I can't believe how good it is. Worth every penny. Well, thank you so much for that, Richard. When I did Playbook 3.0, which came out last year, I massively underestimated how much time it was going to take me to create that course. Oh, did I ever screw the pooch on that one? I gave myself a month to do it, and I did it, but I didn't sleep for 30 days. I should have gave myself 3 months to create that course. Honestly, I didn't think it was going to be that big of a job. I thought, okay, the course is already created, like Playbook 2.0 already existed. So I was just going through and updating and revising and things of that nature. Yeah, no, I massively underestimated. I did not sleep for like a month. My family forgot what I looked like. It was insane. That course took a lot. And so now that I've started the preliminary brainstorming process of Playbook 4.0, at this point, no, I have no idea when that is going to come out. What I can tell you is if you have previously purchased Playbook, don't worry. You will get access to 4.0 when it drops. It is certainly something that I've started thinking about now. But yeah, I will definitely build a little more time into my schedule to get that one done because I do not want to relive the experience of creating and launching 3.0. I have no desire to live that over again anytime soon. That was insanity. Hey, if you're just signing in, maybe you missed me talking about it earlier. My next workshop is happening in November. It is a 1-hour live workshop called Cash In on the Holidays, Marketing Strategies for the Holiday Season. So what I'm going to give you in this workshop is a dozen different marketing strategies, low cost, no cost, easy ways to market your business over the holiday season. But here's the best part about it. In this particular case, yes, it is themed towards Christmas. However, you could just as easily take what you learn in this workshop and apply it to Halloween or St. Patrick's Day or May 2-4 weekend or July the 4th or summer holidays or any kind of holiday. So you can take the themes, even though it talks specifically about Christmas within the class, you could take the themes and apply them to basically any holiday that you're thinking about. So that live workshop is going to be taught twice. So you can choose November 5th at 7 p.m. Eastern and November 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's going to happen live on Zoom, 1-hour workshop. There'll be a bit of a Q&A as well. And so you can sign up if you go to VOpreneur.com, click on the store button, grab your spot for that one. This is a class that I taught last year, had incredible feedback on it, watched people do some amazing things with their marketing over the course of the holidays. So I decided to give it a little bit of an update and teach it again this year. So if you're interested in picking up some really helpful, useful marketing strategies for the holiday season, maybe want to go and check that one out again at VOpreneur.com and click on the store button. All right, let's see. If I have missed your question, I apologize. And please don't be afraid to type your question again if I missed it. If you put your question in the chat, if you just put a Q beside it, it makes it a little bit easier for me to find on my screen. I'm just going to scroll back here through some of this chat and see if I've missed anything. But certainly, again, if I did miss your question, I apologize. Don't be afraid to ask it again. What's going on, guys? What do you want to talk about? What can I help you with? What time is it? I can stick around for about 20 more minutes. I don't think there's going to be a Free Advice Friday next weekend. next Friday. It looks like I've got just about everything. Ooh, let's see this. So I got out of my feelings and followed up with a prospect after I saw your video short stating that you're leaving money on the table if you're not doing this. Now I have a new client. Yes! That's exactly what I'm talking about. Success is in the follow-up, guys. Success is in the follow-up. When I do voiceover marketing playbook, I send a lot of emails. And there is a percentage of people, this big of a percentage of people, this big. Can you see? This big. This big of a percentage of people who get really PO'd at me for the number of emails that I send. There's this big of a percentage of people who read all the emails and give the course serious consideration. And there's this big of a percentage of people who eventually, over the course of the release, find something that resonates with them in one of the emails and makes the decision to buy. But if I only sent one email, I would literally sell like this many playbooks. This is a universal principle. It's why McDonald's doesn't just run one commercial. Like, we've all seen a million McDonald's commercials in our life. They don't just run one commercial and be like, okay, that's good enough. We put our ad out there. It's why when you go to Amazon and you look at something, and then later that day you log into Facebook and there's an ad for that thing that you looked at, and then you go into Google to do a search and there's an ad for that thing that you looked at, and then you log into some other website and there's an ad for that thing you looked at, and it follows you all around. One time doesn't work. It doesn't work. You have to follow up. If you are not following up, you are leaving money on the table. If you are sending the right emails to the right people and you're offering them something of value, then you are not being annoying. And if you are being annoying, they will unsubscribe or ask you to stop sending them messages. Perfect. That's one less person that I have to maintain communication with who is never going to hire me anyway. You've got to change your mentality around follow-ups. If you are still fearing the follow-up, you have to change your mentality around follow-up. If you are not doing follow-ups, you have to change your mentality around follow-ups. Go to VOpreneur.com, click store, buy this class right here, the Follow-Up Academy Masterclass. That is a 2-hour class that is dedicated exclusively to helping you build a follow-up strategy for your business. I'm going to walk you through it. If you are not following up, buy this class. Send the follow-ups. If you are not following up and you buy this class and you start following up and you do the things that this class teaches you, this class is going to pay for itself. You have to do the follow-ups. What book are you reading right now? I am about to finish The Founders, which is all about the start of PayPal. I think I've got one chapter left in that book. I'm also currently reading a marketing book. Hang on, I'm having a brain fart on what it's called. I got so many books going on right now, guys. You have no idea how many books. My book outlet, I'm telling you, the number of books that I have had delivered to me from Book Outlet in the last few weeks, it's just insane. I can't even help myself. Like, honestly, I can't even help myself. I just finished reading. I just finished reading a Malcolm Gladwell. What was that one? Oh my gosh, I can't even remember, guys. I got so many books going on right now. Too Big to Fail. I just finished reading that, which was fascinating. Too Big to Fail was all about the 2008 financial crisis. I found that book fascinating because what we were told in the media about the financial crisis and what actually went down are kind of two different things. And I found that very interesting. So I just finished reading that one. And what was the Gladwell? Oh, dang it. That Will Never Work. The Birth of Netflix. I read that one a couple weeks ago. Loved that story. Outliers. Malcolm Gladwell. Everybody should go and read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. I know that one's a little bit older, but I had just never read it before. And so I actually, after I read Outliers, I ended up ordering like 4 more Malcolm Gladwell books. And so I've got those ones all coming up here. Those are all going to be in the reading list here pretty soon. Let me just throw a link in the chat there for that one. Richard says, are your habits atomic? I have read Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits was a fantastic book, and I learned a ton from that book. So that is definitely one that I would recommend. I'm trying to find the name of the marketing book that I read. It's really bothering me that I can't remember what that book was called. Let's see. I guess I could probably just go get it. It's just over on my stand over there. Oh, The Hidden DNA of Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google by Scott Galloway. That was a really interesting book. I really enjoyed that one a lot too. Man, this is what I do. I just read. I read a lot. So I started reading Mel Robbins' book, 5-Second Rule. Oh, yes, good one. Highly recommend. After I watched your mindset lesson, powerful lesson. Now I'm 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 things on a daily basis. I loved the 5-Second Rule. That was a great book. Let me put a link to that one in the chat. If you haven't read that one yet, you should absolutely read that book. 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. She's got a podcast too. 5-Second Rule. There it is. It's in the chat. Check it out. Let's see. What am I going to read next? That's a question too. What am I going to read next? Because I just read 1929, the Great Crash of 1929. I just finished reading that one. That was really interesting. That was obviously about the Great Depression. I'm probably going to read another Malcolm Gladwell book actually next, as soon as I finish The Founders, which I will probably finish later tonight. I think I've got David and Goliath, Underdogs, Misfits, something, I forget. It's a Malcolm Gladwell book. Anyway, I'll probably start reading that one next. How are your marketing efforts to voice actors for coaching and course clients similar or different from your marketing efforts to voiceover clients? I use a lot of the same strategies. I try to add value in everything that I do, right? So from a coaching standpoint, I do Free Advice Friday to try to add value. I don't do Free Advice Friday because I've got so much extra time and I'm just bored. I do Free Advice Friday because I'm trying to add value. I do a podcast every week because I'm trying to add value. Again, not because I've got so much extra time. Like one episode of my podcast it's about a day a week to do one episode of the podcast, start to finish. But I do it to try to add value. When I'm sending out emails, I'm hopefully trying to add value. So all along the way, I'm trying to add value to my audience so that my audience will begin to know, like, and trust me. And once my audience is in a position where they know, like, and trust me, and they feel like I have added enough value that they want more, then when I put out a course like my Cash In on the Holiday Workshop, hopefully a few of you are going to buy that class. You're going to be like, you know what? The stuff this guy shares on Free Advice Friday is so good. And the stuff that he shares on his podcast is so good that what he's going to share in this Cash In on the Holidays class, it's got to be even better. So for $47, yeah, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to take that class. So it's a combination of adding value and staying top of mind. I am appearing in front of most of you multiple times a week, I'm guessing. Whether that's through Free Advice Friday, or through the podcast, or through my email list, or through the VOpreneur Facebook group, or through the social media that I do, I am always there. I'm always present. I'm consistently showing up, consistently, I hope, adding value, and over time, nurturing those relationships as I add that value to where you want to sign up for something. If you feel that way, sign up for Cash In on the Holidays, please. On the voiceover side, it's the same idea. When I'm reaching out to new leads, I'm trying to demonstrate how I can add value to them in the email. When I'm following up with them, I'm continuing to show different ways that I can add value to what they're doing, add value to their project, make their life easier, solve a problem for them, whatever. And I'm trying to get in front of them consistently. So that's why I connect with those people on LinkedIn, and then I post on LinkedIn. Hopefully they see my content on LinkedIn. They're getting emails from me periodically. Maybe they're following me on some of my other social media platforms. And so they're seeing me. They're seeing me around. They're starting to think, you know what, this Marc guy's everywhere. They're like, this guy's everywhere. He must be somebody that matters. So let's just hire him. We can trust him. He's everywhere. And so it's really the same approach, slightly different strategies and tactics, but by and large, it's the same approach. Great question, AJ. And hopefully that answers the question. It's consistency over time at scale. That's it. Consistency over time at scale. Always trying to add value. If the only thing I ever did was email you guys saying, buy my class, buy my class, buy my class, buy my class. Nobody's buying my class. If the only thing I ever did was send emails to voiceover leads saying, hire me for voiceover, hire me for voiceover, hire me for voiceover, hire me for voiceover. Most of them never hiring me for voiceover. But if I can add value to your business as a voice actor and become a trusted partner with you, a virtual mentor, however you want to phrase it, but I add enough value, then eventually you're probably going to want to do business with me. And in the same way, if I can demonstrate to a voiceover lead how I can add value to them, how I can make their life easier, when I see them say that they had a really terrible experience with a voice actor who had terrible customer service, I can reach out and say, look, here's what I'll do for you. Here's how I'll add value. Here's how I'll make your life easier. And so it's just adding value consistently over time at scale. Tab says, I asked a question, but you may have missed it a few minutes ago. All right, scrolling back, trying to find it. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, here we go. When you're in a busy season of life and having a hard time making time, what's the most important things you need to do with the time that you have? Pareto's principle is the 80-20 rule. So depending on how you apply that, 80% of my income comes from 20% of my clients. 80% of my income is generated by 20% of my efforts. What is the 20%? If I have a limited amount of time, then I need to focus on the 20%. What is the 20% of clients that I can reach out to who are most likely to hire me again? What are the 20% of genres where I can focus the bulk of my efforts? What is the 20% marketing strategy that is producing the 80% return? So that's what I'm looking at. So I try to show up on the podcast, I try to show up on social media every single day. But sometimes when I'm really stinking busy, I'm going to miss some days on social media. But I will do everything humanly possible to make sure that I still get a podcast out, And then I still get a free Advice Friday at least a couple times a month, because those are the biggest things for me. That's where I feel like I can have the biggest reach and add the most value. So if I can't show up on Facebook all the time, or if I can't make a new YouTube video or whatever, I know that 80% of the results that I see on my coaching come from the trust and the relationship that is built through the podcast and through the live stream. So I'm always going to try to show up to do those things. Same thing would be said for my voiceover. I'm going to focus on the 20% of clients that are, when in those seasons that you're specifically talking about, not on the whole, but in those seasons where life is incredibly busy and I've only got half an hour here or an hour here or something like that, then I got to sit down and I got to say, who are the 20% of clients producing 80% of the results? How do I make sure that no matter what, I'm getting in front of those people regularly? Okay, what else? What time is it? Whew, 1:55. Time flies when you're having fun. I got time for one more question. If somebody's got one, happy to answer one more. After the live stream, head over, sign up, cash in on the holidays. It's going to be a really fun workshop with a lot of good information. I promise you. I am very much a guy that's about strategies and tactics. I want to give you actual strategies and tactics that you can deploy in your business to get yourself in front of people over the holiday season and take advantage of the opportunities that are there for the holiday season. So head over to the website after this, sign up for Cash In on the Holidays, whether it's the November 5th workshop that's happening at 7 p.m. Eastern or the November 7th workshop that's happening at 1 p.m. Eastern. Also, if you are unable to attend live, worry not. You will get access to a recording. Do you ever offer any services to businesses looking to hire voice actors for roles that you don't fit? 100% I do. That's a way that I can add value. In fact, in one of my follow-up cycles, or one of my follow-up sequences, I actually have an email that talks about that. Hey, look, I know I'm not going to be the right fit for every job. I know there are going to be times when you're looking for a specific language, or you're going to be looking for a specific demographic, or you need a female voice or whatever. And in those instances, I am more than happy to help you fill that role from my extensive database of trusted voice actors. So I will absolutely do that. I help clients with casting. Some people think that if you do that, that you're giving your clients your competition. And my mentality has always been, if I do that, I am making myself even more valuable to my clients. Man, that Marc, that's a stand-up guy right there. Like, he didn't have to help us do that, but he helped us do that. That builds loyalty. I have never thought about it like giving my clients my competition. I have always thought about it as building loyalty. Mel Robbins has a new book. The High Five Habit is excellent for those lacking confidence and a good mindset. Ideas sound dumb, but it works. Ask me how I know. Oh, see, why you got to tell me that Mel Robbins has got a new book? Because now you know what I'm going to be doing after this is done. You guys are all going to be going signing up for Cash In on the Holidays. I'm going to be heading over to Amazon and picking up Mel Robbins' new book because I am a fan, and I'm very curious to hear what she has to say. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. As always, I love being able to do Free Advice Friday with you guys, and I'm grateful when you show up and you ask your questions, and I love being able to answer as many questions as I possibly can. Don't forget to check out the new episode, or the latest episode of the podcast if you haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. Is this the future of VO? Erin Culpepper shares her story of working on Poe, the AI story bear, which I am fully confident is going to be one of the hot toys of the 2024 season. We have one. Erin sent us one, which I'm so grateful for. It is the Boo's favorite thing. Like, seriously, her favorite thing right now. She loves, we got to do Poe stories at nap time. We got to do Poe stories at bedtime. We got to do Poe stories just for the sake of doing Poe stories sometimes. She absolutely loves it. But it's a really, really great story. So check that one out. It's right here on the YouTube channel. Or wherever you enjoy podcasts, or over on the website at VOpreneur.com. All right, everyone. like I said, I can't do Free Advice Friday next week, but I'm pretty sure I got it on the calendar for the week after that. So I'll see you back in a couple of weeks. And in the meantime, try to stay connected with you on social media. Join the Facebook group if you haven't already. Look up the VOpreneur Facebook group. And as always, as I like to say, have fun, stay safe, and go find some leads.